A 30-year-old man is behind bars for holding a woman hostage and threatening to kill her after they got into an argument over a McDonald's meal. On the night of Saturday, the 9th of September, authorities received a text message from a woman who claimed that John Moore was holding her hostage at the Garrett Mills apartment complex in Grafton, West Virginia. Deputies responded to John's apartment and knocked on the door multiple times, but there was no answer. Deputies eventually pushed the door open and announced themselves as they walked in. As they entered, they saw a female victim walk out the door while John was directly behind her. The victim yelled and swore at John to get away from her, and deputies took John into custody. Officials spoke with the victim, who said that she and John got into a fight because John was supposed to bring a McDonald's back, but he refused because he claimed that she was being a selfish bitch and she didn't answer her phone. She said that John threatened her by telling her that she was going to choke her to death and watch her lay there. He also said that he was going to put her in the basement and starve her to death while he ate in front of her. She said that John held her by the neck with one hand and ripped her shirt. While restraining her by the neck, he held up a knife to her with his other hand and threatened to slit her throat. John is charged with kidnapping and domestic battery offences. He was booked into the Tygarts Valley Regional Jail at 1:10 a.m. Sunday morning and is held without bail. The investigation into the matter continues. 47-year-old Brian Martin is behind bars after he raped an elderly woman inside an antique shop. At around 12:30 p.m. on Sunday the 10th of September, authorities responded to Shabatik's store at 831 Ronaldo Road Northwest in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, reports of an assault. Investigators were told that a man had entered the business shortly after it opened, threatened a 77-year-old employee with a hammer, and forced her to have intercourse inside the store before he fled the scene. Authorities were able to identify Brian as a suspect through witness accounts and surveillance footage obtained in the area. At 2:15 p.m, police located Brian on nearby Canal Drive, and he was taken into custody. Police said that the victim and the suspect were not known to each other, and that this was a random act of violence. Brian's charged with rape and kidnapping, and is held at the Forsyth County Jail on a $1 million bond. Brian has an extensive criminal history spanning more than 3 decades. On the 18th of August, Brian was released from the Piedmont Correctional Institution in Salisbury. He was given a 4-year prison sentence in 2018 for burning a public building in Stokes County. He was released in 2022, but ended up behind bars again in January this year after violating parole. Brian was just 16 years old at the time of his first conviction for felony assault with a deadly weapon and vehicle theft in Forsyth County in 1992. He's since had 4 convictions for assaulting a female and 1 for second-degree kidnapping. Brian has also had past convictions for assault with a deadly weapon, breaking and entering, and larceny. The investigation into the matter continues. Police are investigating after a 26-year-old man was fatally shot. At 1:07 p.m. on Monday the 11th of September, authorities responded to Burke Village Apartments complex along Burke Village Lane in Winston-Salem, North Carolina after receiving a shot spotter alert. When officers arrived, they found Javonte Darren Morrison in the parking lot suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Officers immediately rendered aid until paramedics arrived on scene, but he died shortly thereafter. Upon further investigation, it was determined that Javonte was in an argument outside the apartment complex with unknown individuals. As he walked back to his car after the argument, he was shot multiple times before the suspects fled the scene. Detectives believe the suspects and the victim knew each other. Authorities said there were multiple witnesses who refused to cooperate with officers. No arrests have been made to date, as the investigation into the matter continues. 43-year-old Richard Scott Dowsett is wanted by police after fatally shooting 41-year-old Brandy Joyce Hanks. At around 5:30 p.m. on Sunday the 10th of September, authorities responded to a distress call at 405 Browns Bend Road in Alexandria, Louisiana, a report of a person shot. When officers arrived, they found Brandy in a critical condition with a gunshot wound. She was transported to a local hospital, but died the following morning at 3:30 a.m. Authorities identified Richard as a suspect in the shooting and said that he and Brandy lived at the same address. Detectives obtained an arrest warrant for Richard for second-degree murder. Throughout the night, authorities scoured the area in search for Richard, eventually tracking down the vehicle used to flee the scene, and he remains on the run. The motive of the shooting is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues.